Alrighty, so the last bit of information here for you guys is the divisions. Like I mentioned before, we want to get ahead of this, so we're going to go ahead and announce the divisions today. I can start working on the schedule afterwards. And so, first shout out is to Mr. Alex Stewart, Mr. Woman, 2023. Congratulations on your victory in the FIFA Women's World Cup, and thank you for your suggestion for divisions for this year, which will be the PGA and LIV Tour merger. Great idea, very on topic, very, very relevant and very funny. So, thank you, Stu. Appreciate that.
Stu is a really good. I appreciate that suggestion.
Right, and we have a lot of golf experts in this crew, so I'm sure that everyone will appreciate all of the information we're about to provide. So, quick breakdown here, real quick. On the PGA side of things, the PGA division will include myself, Ethan, Tim, Nick, and Stu. And on the LIV Tour side of things will be Kendall, David, Austin, Tomka, and Chris. So I think it's a pretty clean split here. I think those were pretty obvious split there. Made it nice and easy for us. Thanks again, Stu.
Underlying reason is, like we do every year, we just base it off the prior year standings, but it worked out perfectly.
And with that said, we would like to, just kind of walk through who we think, each player kind of, kind of goes in sync with them. And so, I guess I'll just, where else to start than myself, right? Where else to start than myself? Me being on top of the world, I think it only makes sense that, my counterpart for PGA would be Scottie Scheffler. Thoughts?
Number one player in the world, probably going to win the Tour Championship this weekend. It makes a lot of sense, but honestly, when you said your name, first person that went in my mind was not a golfer, but the commissioner of the tour, Jay Monahan. I'm talking to Ryan Monahan right now. Corrupt commissioner, throws his league members under the bus, would make a deal with anyone, the Saudis. Heck, you're the one who brokered the deal between Claremont and Upland coming together, which was essentially the same thing as PGA and LIV coming together. Those Upland guys and Laverne guys, I mean, can barely trust them. It's Ryan Monahan. No brainer.
I mean, I said what I said. And what I said, the circumstances today are not they're not the circumstances they were a year ago. So, or even a decade ago when this league was started. So, what can I say?
Nice. Just keep cashing the checks. I know people are paying you probably for this.
All right. What suggestion do you have for? Let's continue down the PGA side. What do you have for Ethan?
Well, Ethan, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I think of excellence. I think of legacy. I think of someone who was kind of down and out, was really gone from the scene, but then came back out of nowhere at the end of last decade, beginning of this decade, and returned to the top of the mountain. That's right. Ethan Bondehagen is Tiger Woods.
We were thinking about making an Express video game at one point, and Ethan clearly would have been the cover boy.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes without saying.
They both love a good Hooters. Ethan's a dad. Tiger Woods is a dad. They're the same guy. The more I think about it, actually, it's kind of crazy.
It's almost too perfect of a comparison. Totally. Ethan Woods. Eldrick. What is it? Eldrick?
It's Eldrick, yeah.
Eldrick Bondehagen. It has a nice ring to it. Moving down the list, the next one is Tim. If I had to think of someone for Tim on the PGA Tour, I mean, I'll just pick the first name that comes to my mind. That's Rory McIlroy. I mean, like the face of golf, maybe disappeared for a little bit, came back, always there, never really left. I mean, Tim can turn it on whenever he needs to turn it on, no matter what it is. Whether it's bringing out the driver, and playing on the football field, whatever equivalent you want to make, Tim can bring it, and that's what Rory does, and that's why I think Tim's Rory.
Big drive, Tim's at the top of his golf game. He's certainly playing enough. And at the end of the day, if anyone's going to appreciate this, it's going to be Tim being compared to Rory McIlroy. Let's be honest.
I also hear that Rory's a mediocre top golf player, and Tim is too. So, I mean that speaks for itself.
Logical connection there. Well, the next one up here is myself, and I know you're a big golf fan. There's a lot of people you could probably think of. Who would you pick for me? I know Tiger's off the board, so I know there's Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, just whoever. Surprise me.
You know, for this one, I thought it was pretty easy. Justin Thomas.
Hey, JT is one of my guys. He's one of my favorite players. Two-time major champ. Thank you. Thank you for thinking of me that way.
Well, okay, but you didn't give me a chance to explain because I'm pretty sure he's coming off, the worst season of his career, and he may not even make the American team for the Ryder Cup, is what I heard.
Yeah, no, that's true. I know I missed the playoffs last year, and I know he just missed the playoffs, but I mean, that comparison kind of stings now. I thought you were thinking of me in a positive light. I didn't. All right. Well,
I mean, that's why it was so obvious to me,
I was going to call you Scottie Scheffler, but now you're definitely Jay Monahan. Wow. Okay.
It is what it is. Who you got for Stu, Nick?
Look, Stu is winning a lot of things right now. Maybe not the things he wants to. He's winning a lot of these random pools, soccer things. Reminds me of a guy who's winning a lot, but he's not winning enough majors. And that is Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm, big time golfer. He's excellent. Stu's a great guy. They both seem like great guys to hang out with. Stu, I know is. Jon Rahm seems like it. They're both bigger dudes. Jon Rahm's like 6'4". I trust them both out there on the course to drive it long. And we can't say a mean thing about Stu. So all positive here.
Works for me. Now it gets a little tricky. Now it gets a little fun with the live side of things. We got Kendall, David, Austin, Tomka, and Chris. So I'll leave it to you. Where do you want to start?
I got to start with the guy who won a major on the PGA this year, but has been maybe the face of LIV golf, certainly the face of the Netflix documentary about golf, Full Swing. Kendall Shoemake is Brooks Koepka. Kendall Koepka. They're pretty much the same guy. I'm sure Kendall has a swing in his bedroom. Their personalities, they're both just all over the place, yet when it matters, they perform. They win all the time. Brooks is always up there in all the majors. When it counts, he shows up. That's Kendall Shoemake. That's Kendall Koepka. He shows up when it counts.
Kendall Koepka. I like the KK there. Austin. I thought this was a pretty easy one too. I mean, for me, Austin is Bryson DeChambeau.
Yes.
Austin's all about the analytics. He breaks down the film, as we all know. And obviously, he's got the looks, he's got the charisma, and so Austin's Mr. DeChambeau.
They both love a good weight room. They could be honestly brothers. They kind of look alike. I love that comparison. Next up, I gotta go. This one was also kind of obvious. Okay, I'm thinking Chris Mora is Dustin Johnson. Okay, Dustin Johnson was the #1 player in the world at the top of his game. Okay, I think Chris Mora was at the top of his game with the Padres, Clippers, and then he left to go to USC at the top of his game. Dustin Johnson at the top of his game, going from PGA to LIV. It makes too much sense. And Dustin Johnson's father-in-law is Wayne Gretzky. I'm pretty sure Chris has met Wayne Gretzky. I think he has a picture of him or with him. They're the same guy. It's crazy.
Let's see who we got now. We got David and Tomka. For David, I think that this one's pretty straightforward too. David is Phil Mickelson. He's on the senior end of things compared to the rest of the group. Had a very heralded career. Done a lot of great things. Maybe just says some things now that doesn't care about as much about how it hits home. And so for me, he's Phil. outside of the lefty.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. Phil's a great call. Phil won a major a couple years ago. David won the league a couple years ago. No-brainer. I might have said Greg Norman, but that was really just because Greg Norman, who runs the LIV, that might have been an ageist comment because he's also old. So sorry, David. Didn't mean to go there.
Brandon Tomka. You know, I think it's got to be Patrick Reed. Controversial. So
Patrick Reed, I think the same year he won the Masters is the same year Tomka won this league. But let's just get it out there, okay? Tomka is infamous for a famous bachelor party cheating scandal. And our guy, Patrick Reed, infamous for a cheating scandal and being accused of cheating like a dozen times now. Look, if Tomka was offered to go play in a Saudi fantasy football league, are you telling me he's sticking around here? I truly don't know. I mean, the only reason we even had him do the grid was to keep him in the loop because he's fielding offers all over the place. Patrick Reed's also Captain America, and Tomka loves America. So, I guess that's also a similarity. So not all negatives there. Patrick Reed's also great. Tomka's a great fantasy player. So works out nicely.
well, there's your breakdown, everybody, of the PGA and the LIV divisions for this year. One more time, PGA, Ryan, Ethan, Tim, Nick, and Stu, and LIV with Kendall, David, Austin, Tomka, and Chris. And as Nick mentioned, it is all fun and games, but we did base it on the final standings from 2022. There is some logic to this. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Appreciate your time, and there will be another video to come with some of our more interesting stuff like keepers and the official draft order and other administrative type business stuff.
And we'll be bringing back the challenge matchups from last year. Those fell in the last week of the season last year. They're going to be week 1 this year, and it's going to be cross-divisional. So one division is going to challenge the other. Each player can pick someone to challenge. So super excited to see how those shake out.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Adios.
Later.